crap, we're on.
I see.
All right. Hey, you guys. We'll let people kind of get on here. Welcome to the Dr. G Show. This is episode 172. So last week, what we talked about was what? Oh, the 5 things that.
Nope, that's what we're talking about today. Oops.
Uh-oh.
That's
what are we
today.
talking about today?
The 5 things.
No, what did we talk about last time? What did we talk about? Leukemia? I never know.
Oh, do y'all remember what we talked about?
Too much time has passed.
Let's see how well everyone was listening to the show. We talked about a lot of stuff. First of all, we talked about what you did.
Yeah.
And what was coming up in your new adventures in Kansas City. Hi, Alejandra?
No, so...
Go ahead.
I don't know.
So,
Anyways, I know what we're talking about today.
Today we're talking about memory.
That's right. So...
And how not to have much of it.
That's right. So we're going to talk about this next several weeks. We're going to talk about the 5 things that keep us chronically sick and dying prematurely. So most people don't realize that there's only 2 things that really keep us sick and dying prematurely, and that's ignorance and complacency. So what we don't know, or people that don't care. So we can't help the people that don't care, but not knowing this stuff is a huge issue. So when we go through these 5 things, we're going to talk about the 5 things to try to really shine a bunch of light on all these things that we don't know about. So, and I think there was a... You okay there?
Yeah, I don't know why, but
She's all techie.
I'm getting techie here.
So...
There we go.
We were... I was at a seminar and they said... you're chronically sick and dying prematurely based on what your current doctor doesn't know, and usually about nutrition. And so I really like that. That stuck in my head. And so when I took coursework at Harvard Medical School, they had a lifestyle medicine program, and I'd already taken the Crohn's course through there. And basically with that course, it said, patient has Crohn's, what meds are we going to do? And so you go through and you say, oh, we do this med, and then they're not tolerating that med, so lower this med, raise this med, add this, and you just keep doing that and refer out for surgery.
And forever.
Forever.
It doesn't change. It's like 6 months goes by. Oh, that's not working. Let's change it. Let's give you something else.
So then I took the coursework for the lifestyle medicine coursework through Harvard Medical School, and they said patient has Crohn's, what are they doing to cause it? And that was the craziest concept, because 2 classes at the same school on the same subject, a doctor could take this one, a doctor could take this one, and there's 2 different outcomes for that patient. So one, we get drugs and surgery, the other one just gets their life back. So we really are limited by what our current doctors don't know. So as we talk about this stuff, you have to become the social advocate for yourself. You're the one that's in charge. 52% of all diagnoses and treatment in the United States, according to the New England Journal of Medicine, is incorrect. So you are more likely to be misdiagnosed than diagnosed correctly. So because of that, we have to self-advocate and learn all these things, so that way we're our own doctor for the most part, and self-advocating and asking questions for these things, really. And really mainly not kind of falling for what everybody else is falling for, and that sense of like, oh, we're just doomed and we're all going to die and it's genetic and it's a big mystery.
Yes, and like I said, it can go on forever.
Right.
And that's really kind of, I'm going to jump out on a limb, that's kind of what it's meant for. And as you stay with us, we're going to go into some of those things, like even time frames of when they started. So
yes.
I have my own theories, and I didn't study at all, but I have my own theories.
Oh, we're going to talk about your theories then.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll do some contrasting.
Start with milk.
I want to hear from you guys too.
Oh, yes.
So this is the Dr. G Show. We're in the 5th or 6th year or something, episode 172, and this is, I'm Dr. G, and I have a functional lifestyle medicine practice in Wichita, Kansas, and also we have offices in Kansas City. And so we treat basically the people that no one else can figure out how to treat, and then we teach them to stop causing the problems, and most things just go away. So we have a guest today, who was here last week, who doesn't remember what we talked about last week either. So, you know.
Yeah, but I did some training today on how to forget things. So.
Nice. So Suzanne Blockett, who when she played basketball, they were always like, Suzanne Blockett.
Yeah.
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 All right.
That was me.
So.
Hello, everybody.
And you, I've known you for years now, and you're one of my right tribe.
Mm-hmm.
And especially when I was going through my big change, my metamorphosis of becoming internally happy, truly, truly happy, you were a big part of that. So you're one of my favorite people.
And vice versa.
Aw, see?
Of course.
Yes.
And there was a lot of us that kind of went through that whole phase. And,
Yeah.
and it doesn't stop at just one metamorphosis. I think we go through life changes regularly.
The
And-
butterfly becomes a better butterfly, which becomes a better butterfly.
Exactly.
Is that right?
Exactly. Or has babies and they become better butterflies, and it just can go on. Hi, Edna. Thank you for joining us.
All right. So
Okay.
tell us a little bit about yourself real quick.
I am a business consultant for a company called Kansas West Inc. here in Wichita. I've been working with them for almost 6 years. Took a little break from working with them and started my own company called the Number 2 Company, who helps startup companies and small business owners, and mostly women in small business, just kind of help them develop their identity and build their websites, help encourage them through Facebook media and social media and stuff like that. So, and
She has to go to back to work.
okay, thanks for joining for a little bit. So yeah, I do that. I also have, which you and I and Scott started about a year and a half ago, Wise Women ICT.
Yes.
And
My
this
favorite organization.
Oh, I know.
Yes.
And so this is actually going to be starting up again. We were not funded well enough, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to start that up hopefully very soon.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty excited about that.
And we had several seminars, didn't we?
We did. We had
And,
3. We had one in Newton,
And 2 at
Hi, Edna.
OptiLife.
2 at OptiLife,
Yeah.
and it was very successful. And Newton was packed.
Yeah.
We had a full house in Newton.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did.
It was great, and we some of ours was during snowstorms, so it was just like I was surprised that we got the room filled in the OptiLife, because I was driving on ice the whole way, like freaking out, like
So was I.
don't die, I gotta get up and set
Yeah.
up, I gotta get there
Yeah.
to set up stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah, I was very appreciative. We
So-
had a great board, and then we put together great speakers, and oh my gosh, that was such a wonderful experience. And there were so many guys, or not so many, but there was a handful of guys that really were like-minded and basically were right there, standing beside the women, and I really loved that, because it was really hard to kind of say, well, I'm in here because of my daughters, you know, I want them to have a better life, I want women to be stronger and healthier and happier, but I'm also a guy in this organization, but all the women were just like, yeah, we need advocates, we need,
Absolutely.
so it wasn't us versus them, it was, we're all trying to elevate everybody, which was great.
Lots of support.
Yeah.
And we're not going to stop just with the women's groups. Hopefully in the future, and of course we had life coaches, therapists, volunteers. Just it was a great group of people, and I hope we get that started soon.
Yeah.
So go to wisewomenICT.com or check us out on Facebook too.
Nice.
Because we're on Facebook. So.
Yes.
So yeah, I got my fingers in a few little things, and then also I've been in 15 years working on a novel, which I'm going to start diving
50 Shades of what?
diving in really deep. So Suzanne C's on Facebook, so I'm going to start doing some talks on the process of writing the novel, because it is awesome.
Is it NC-17?
No.
If it was a movie, would it be?
Maybe.
Do you know?
I
Do you
don't
know
know.
what NC-17
What does it even
is?
mean, y'all?
Do you know what
Is
that
it-
means?
No.
All right.
I don't go to movies very often.
No, that's where you have to be at least 17 to go see it.
Oh, I gotcha.
Yeah, it's naughty movies. So.
I mean, it's a love story intermingled with like Indiana Jones style stuff, but it's way out there, y'all. It's like I said in some of my videos that I've pre-recorded, it's hang in there with it, because there's little bits and pieces that you really have to keep up on, or you'll miss it, and then you'll get further on down the road and you'll be like, I don't get it.
Did you see Romancing the Stone?
I think so, a long time ago.
Yeah. Is it like that?
No, it's very
Verbatim.
different. It's very
Word for word reenactment of Romancing the Stone,
yeah.
mixed with Jewel of the Nile.
So yeah, right? So
Right.
this is really a great opportunity to be here with Patrick, because I think we work well together too. So
Yes.
I hope to
We're
do
very
more.
like-minded.
Yeah, absolutely. So welcome to the show. I'm just gonna be a sidekick today, because we're talking about some
You be
cool
knowing
stuff.
this stuff. All right,
So let's get going.
So of the 5 things, I want to hear you guys' thoughts, your inputs with this too. So the first thing of the 5 things that keep us chronically sick and dying prematurely, the first one is people believe that disease is inevitable and it's genetic. And so when we have this population today where everybody is just chronically sick, everybody has the same diseases, you start to believe that it's just the normal. But what's really messed up, and I learned this when I was teaching the post-grad department for functional medicine and clinical nutrition. When I did graphs, I would say, okay, well, when did this disease, what did it look like 10 years, 20 years, 100 years ago, right? And what I found was all disease looks the same.
That's right.
So it all looks, I'm going to try to show you this picture here. It all looks like that.
Uh-oh, we didn't flip it.
Oh, it's okay.
Okay.
There was a time where it was very rare or didn't even exist, and then we changed something and created a sudden epidemic, and then we maintained that epidemic of that disease. So that's the crazy thing, is that we literally have created some new diseases that never existed in mankind, right? We've changed diseases in such ways that we literally have to retrain doctors and rewrite medical textbooks. Just for type 2 diabetes, the medical textbooks have had to be written 5 different ways now because of that. So we not only have created a lot of these, but we created the epidemics of these. So if you go back far enough, you can see that disease was very, very minimal. Hey, Julie.
Hey, Julie, Diana.
And Diana.
Nice to see you on here.
Thanks for joining. So the first one that we might want to talk about is something like 1950. So what did we change to create these epidemics? There's Sarah.
Hi, Sarah.
She says howdy. Howdy, howdy, because I'm from Texas.
That's right.
I'm
Y'all.
from the west side of Texas, y'all.
That's right. Y'all.
Y'all. So if we look at disease charts, so one of the first ones I like is in 1950. That's one of the earliest ones. In 1950, Crohn's, ulcerative colitis, irritable bowel, colitis, that was almost non-existent. I mean, it was just non-existent. And then suddenly, it all rapidly changed. So let me see if I can find that one here. I love this chart. So this chart here, you can see from here, epidemic, right?
And blammo. It wasn't just like over a span of 100 years.
Right.
It's like...
So this is just in the last 70 years.
Yeah.
So in 1950, we had a sudden epidemic of very rare conditions for gut problems. So the question becomes, what changed in 1950 that caused everybody to start ending up with Crohn's, ulcerative colitis, irritable bowel? Do you guys know?
And that's not just a few things. There's a lot of things that started back then too.
Do you know what happened?
They started putting vitamin D in milk.
No, that's not the one.
Well, that's one of them.
That's one thing.
It's awesome.
When did they do that?
Oh, in the 40s, I believe.
We're talking
They
about the
started-
50s.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh yeah.
So-
Well, it got worse in the 50s.
From the Andrews sisters, we're talking about Frankie Valli.
Yeah.
So in 1950, Americans said we had all these 6 different types of grains. We had Russian wheat, and we had a bunch of others. And then you would make different things with different wheat. So you wouldn't make cake flour with the same flour you'd make bread. So everybody used different flours and different blends to create these. And so then...
Sugar and grain, pesticides, GMO,
Cerinos,
yeah. And that is, go ahead.
So we changed the way that we process these grains. So we wanted to then make everything all-purpose. So if you look now, there's what's called all-purpose flour. And so all-purpose flour serves no purpose. Basically what it means is let's make everything out of cake flour, right? So then everything tastes even sweeter, everything converts to sugar more rapidly, and then that works as drug addiction, and then people are going to buy more, right? The other thing is wheat was a very tall plant. It was like 6 feet. And so it didn't have a lot of gluten in it, and so it took a lot to create this product. So then they said, well, what if we modify or hybrid the wheat to where we can grow it really short now, and then it'll have more gluten per serving, or more gluten per crop yield, and then we process it differently, and we've created a grain that has never existed in mankind's history. And then we become the 300 million guinea pigs. And we say, if we do this, what happens? So, what happened was we created an epidemic of Crohn's, ulcerative colitis, irritable bowel. So, hey, there's Paige.
Hi, Paige.
Vaccines, glyphosate, and the GMO. Yep.
Yeah.
So that's one of those things. Like, we cause this disease, and then it becomes epidemic, and then we get experts on it, right? So one of my specialties is now reversing Crohn's, ulcerative colitis, irritable bowel, right? So in our clinic, we have a specialty clinic, the Genomic Wellness Center. That's my whole job, and I'm really, really good at that.
Yep.
Mainly because I tell people to stop doing that stuff, and then they normalize, just like I learned at Harvard, right? So that's one epidemic. We changed the wheat, we changed the way we process. And when I was, it even got worse, because when I was a kid, we would get weevils in our flour. Did you get weevils?
Yes.
Are they called weevils?
Do y'all
for real?
remember what weevils are? Yeah, they're just little tiny black bugs.
Yeah. Whoa,
Yeah.
that's racist.
I didn't mean it like that.
So these black bugs, were they black? Or are they white?
I thought they were little black ones.
And maybe. So.
Because, I mean, even now we still get them sometimes. If
You do?
Well, I don't, because I don't have flour and stuff.
Right.
I think.
So they don't grow anymore. The new flour will not grow weevils.
Oh.
You know why?
They put something in there.
Yeah, there's
Some
absolutely
kinda
no nutritional
pesticide
content.
or something, yeah.
So even bugs won't eat our flour anymore. It's so overly processed, so chemicalized that even bugs won't eat this. But then we eat this.
Yeah.
Right?
Like, the best thing to do is, if you want to try to find out if you should be eating something, is put it out in a field and see how many ants don't eat it.
Right. Yeah.
Because they eat everything. Except
I'm gonna try
chemicalized
it.
stuff.
I don't think they do flour. Yeah, it's messed up. So
Don't they say if you have bugs, put flour around the edges of your house?
Is that right?
I think so.
Probably true, see.
They won't cross that path.
Is that true, you guys?
Hi, Jules. What's up?
All right, so that's Crohn's. So that's 1950. 1950, we created that new epidemic, and now we have specialists for it. We literally have specialized clinics to deal with the aftermath of what we did for profit. In 1960, we changed something else, and this is what everybody else really hit hard on that guessed. Was in 1960, we decided to change the way that we use pesticides on crops. And we used these xenoestrogen or xenobiotics. And we used, I think that's maybe when we started using genetically modified too. But actually, genetically modified is back before that too, with corn. But, so we created this new thing. And we sprayed it on the crops. So there's a good book called The 100-Year Lie. And I love that book because it was the first one that really opened my eyes to, we didn't have a bunch of this disease. We added this new thing, it became an epidemic, we add more, it becomes more epidemic, we add more, and then it's just like a nightmare. Like, I was like, wait, so we did this? So in 1960, we added estrogenic pesticides and sprayed them all over crops, and suddenly we had epidemics of estrogen diseases like breast cancer, uterine cancer, ovarian, infertility, endometriosis, fibroids, all that. What's interesting is there's a chart on fibroids, and fibroids start in the 1960s, I believe, but they actually went epidemic in the 1990s, which I thought was kind of fascinating. But if you could look at this chart, that's fibroids. So think about all the people you know that have fibroids. Nothing, boom, epidemic, right? So with all those estrogenic things, we now then started having male sperm counts from 1970 to 1990 that were infertile. So you have to have about 25 million sperms per ejaculate. At least that's what he told me at the rest stop.
Oh my gosh.
To be fertile, right? So anything less than that's infertile. So you can be sterile but still make a bunch of sperm. So hopefully if people are practicing family planning or something, so they'll be like, oh,
really
you're
works.
Infertile, but then they change their diet and then their sperm count goes up, but then they're like pregnant, so then
Did you hear me?
Why?
Like, it really works.
Natural family planning?
Sometimes.
I have 4 kids. I have no problem.
Oh,
creating
well,
children.
I don't know. It's
I even
all...
created 2 at once. I don't want to brag, but I'm pretty sure that was all me.
Yes.
So, with that book, Silent Spring, did you ever read that?
I've heard of it, yes. And
So,
I think I did read some of it.
That's the one that really talked about this. I mean, again, the fertility from here to here. Fertility from 1970 to 1991 was like that. Like it was the opposite of an epidemic, right? So we then just substantially decreased that. So with the male estrogen, so all men and all women make the same hormones. Men make estrogen just like women, and we just make small amounts of estradiol so we look like boys. And then if we take extra estrogen through plastic, pesticides, or even dairy, we end up with astronomically higher amounts of estradiol, and men go through second puberty. And second puberty for men is reverting back to female form, because all men start off as little girls. All our ovaries become testicles, the uterus becomes a prostate, breast tissue doesn't change. Every man has nipples because they all have milk glands and they all can nurse babies, which isn't a big deal until Harvard says that 1 out of 1,000 breast cancers are now men, and that men are growing breasts at an alarming rate, and the #1 elective surgery for men in the United States is now male breast reduction surgery. So now we have specialty clinics to deal with all these man boobs because it's cheaper to put estrogenic pesticides on crops and just deal with the consequences.
Right.
Isn't that cray-cray?
It's crazy.
Man
The
boobs.
first time I quit drinking milk, I think I've said this before on air, but I quit drinking milk 20-something years ago.
What?
Yeah. Because there was a there was a book out about it at the time. And I was developing like some symptoms of menopause during that time. And so I just started researching, and I'm like, that's not for me. Then several years later, GQ put out an article about this very topic, about how men are now seeing the side effects. Yeah.
So you know what? I think it's the dairy, but I have not started my period yet. Not yet.
Lordy. Yeah.
I did get really constipated for a while, and I thought I started my period. Yeah, so that's messed up, right? Man boobs?
It is. And really, we have to go back to what you're talking about, because until we figure out how to get these companies to stop doing that, it's gonna get worse and worse as we go along. So we can all work on ourselves individually and take care of all of those, and that's why Dr. Garrett is here, and it is becoming a very popular thing to do, is to see a functional medicine doctor because of these issues that we're all having.
Yeah, it's way cheaper to stop causing problems.
Stop it, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Although,
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. All I think is stuff I can't say. So then we have epidemics of breast cancer. We'll just say that.
Okay.
So 1 out of every 1,000 breast cancers are now dudes. So.
Yeah.
So then, if we go to 1984, 1984 is a critical year. And 1984, check out this. This is for MS, multiple sclerosis. And MS starts very, very rare all the way to 1984. In 1984, it explodes. But it not only explodes, but all autoimmune explodes. Suddenly, everybody gets lupus and Raynaud's and Sjogren's and rheumatoid arthritis and MS,
A lot
right?
of arthritis.
Tons. In school, they said, we learned all these autoimmune things. They're like, you'll probably never see someone in practice with this. They're so rare. Everybody, every patient ends up with these things, right? So we see lots of it. But the other thing is, in 1984, we created 2 brand new diseases that never existed in mankind. You guys know what those are? All right, you guys got to guess. 2 diseases that started in 1984, became epidemics from the very beginning, and it took about a decade before they stopped treating them with antidepressants, and they started actually having diagnostic codes. It became a real disease, and now we have specialists. No, that was a real disease before.
Okay.
What about hysteria? Hysteria was a
Yeah,
lady's disease.
that was a long time ago.
Because hyster means uterus, so it was a woman's disease.
Y'all, that's just all messed up. That's a whole nother show right there.
That's because when the women got all upset, we'd be like, oh, the uterus is flaring up. Let's get them on meds and put them in institutions. It was pretty messed up.
Yeah.
Man, if I was a woman back in the day, I would have burnt down the whole country. I mean, like, riot. Like, you are not putting me in an asylum because I have an opinion.
Oh, that just was a whole era of messed up.
Okay, so actually Sarah wins.
Celiac?
No, Sarah.
Oh, Sarah. Fibromyalgia.
Fibromyalgia.
Absolutely.
So fibromyalgia and
gets a
chronic
prize.
fatigue were created in 1984. From 1880 to 1980, they don't exist in medical textbooks, right? Not as a actual disease. So all of a sudden, everybody's immune system started attacking muscles and bones, and you could not see this stuff. So all these people, fatigue, you can't see. Fibromyalgia, you can't see. And so basically it became an imaginary disease, and people were treated with antidepressants all the way to antipsychotics and muscle relaxers. That's it. But by the 1990s, now it was a real disease. Now we wrote textbooks. Now we're training doctors. Now we have specialists. We now have specialty clinics that deal with this, right? But what the hell happened in 1984? Why did all this autoimmune start in 1984?
Anybody got an answer?
Dun dun dun!
Dun, dun, dun.
I know some people know because I say it all the time.
I know. We should know this a little bit, right?
That's when they started using the Martians with the brainwave scenario. 84 is when the book came out. That's the book.
The Martian book?
No, the Orwellian 1984. You know the book
No.
about the government watching us and stuff. Yeah.
HIV page says. Sarah needs another hint.
Not the HIV. No. Oh,
Jessica.
okay. There's Jessica.
Yep.
So it came. So it started in 1984. All this autoimmune skyrocketed from 1984, from rare to epidemic. Created chronic fatigue fibromyalgia because in 1980 we came out with Diet Coke.
There you go.
So before Diet Coke, we had a bunch of people gain weight. America's never had to figure out what to do with overweight people because we didn't have overweight people. And in 1910, well, in the 1800s, we imported sugar. But 1910, we were consuming 10 pounds of sugar a year. 10 pounds of added sugar, not fruit. Fruit's real. Fruit's medicine. But added sugar. By 1940, we were consuming 150 pounds of added sugar to our diet in 50 different forms. So, as I love to say, Cheetos has one name on its ingredients for sugar. It has 7 other ingredients that become sugar, right? So there's 50 other names that's actually sugar.
Yeah.
So then people started gaining weight. In the 1950s, we had no clue what we were doing. We had the jiggler thing. You remember that?
I don't remember it, but I remember knowing about it.
Because you weren't around it.
I know.
It jiggled the fat off, and then they had rollers that would
Yep,
roll up
go
and down. And so
And
if you watch
fast,
those,
too.
you're like, this is ridiculous. But the reason it's ridiculous is because they had no earthly idea how to make unfat people, because we've never had that. You had to be so rich and so lazy to even achieve that. And now we can consume food that can make you gain enormous amounts of weights in a short period of time, right? And so by 1980, Americans were gaining so much weight, we had no idea what to do. So we're Americans, we're problem solvers. So what we did was, gasoline is sweet, right? Why not take gasoline and make formaldehyde? And formaldehyde sweet, why not make that into aspartame? And then Cyril and Company created aspartame. Diet Coke came out. An entire population of people gaining weight and having no idea what the hell to do started eating rice cakes and drinking Diet Coke. Cases of Diet Coke. And
that's a key word.
What?
Because once you start on that, it's addicting too. Aspartame is addicting. Your body responds very well when it's being fed aspartame. I don't understand that, but
well, so that's a good thing. So there's 66 hormones that control your hunger and satiety, right? So 44 hormones control hunger. There's this huge drive for hunger. Some of us just got done fasting for 12 days or 13 days before I broke my fast. 13 days, right? So 44 hormones, they ain't got no control over this guy, right? And then 22 of those hormones actually control satiety, or the feeling of satiation, or I'm not hungry anymore, right? 44 for hunger, you have to eat to survive, right? So there's an expectation that takes place in your body of, I know how much, if I eat this fruit or vegetable or honey, I know how much sugar I'm going to get from that, or how many calories of energy, potential. And then if I get that very quickly, I have this much hunger, it shuts off. But if I consume something that's 500 times sweeter, which is aspartame, I have this much hunger, and then I consume something that is 500 times sweeter, so that expectation goes crazy high, but it doesn't shut off because that satiation is not ever met. So then they actually overeat, so it becomes more addicting. People eat more. Literally, people gain more weight than if they just drank the damn sugar. The 16 teaspoons of sugar that was in the Diet Coke in the first place, right? But now we drink formaldehyde, and it converts back to formaldehyde at 87 degrees from aspartame, which is your body temperature. But lo and behold, when it was in a hot-ass truck on the way to the store to be put in their fridge, it converted to formaldehyde.
yeah, exactly.
So, apparently, a whole entire population of struggling people with weight consume massive amounts of formaldehyde. It didn't work out very well for our immune system. We created epidemics of rare autoimmune conditions to where everybody and their mother now has it. And we just maintain that while we keep feeding people aspartame, because now we have neotame and cephotame. And if you get gum, right?
Same.
It has all 3 in there.
I don't understand that. It's just, why gum?
What the?
You know, there's not one gum that I can chew now unless I go to Natural Grocers and get the.
And the
and
most
they have to put on there,
fucked
no
up
aspartame.
thing is it's for 5 calories.
Yeah.
They are poisoning us for
Yeah.
5 calories.
Yeah.
If we use sugar, it's 5 calories. You are going to feed me and my children formaldehyde to save 5 calories? Why the hell are you poisoning us?
And 5 calories, not to mention, you can really assimilate that in your body. The other stuff doesn't assimilate. So we're stuck.
5 calories.
I guess I'm not going to chew gum.
Well, just get Spry or Glee.
Yeah, right. I do the Glee gum.
I just make my
What
own.
gum do y'all choose to chew?
Yeah.
For a long time, like,
I like
Dentine.
Yeah, Dentine did
Hi, Alan.
for a while.
Dentine didn't have it for a long time, like the cinnamon only.
Yes. That was the
And
only
the
one I could
cinnamon
get my
only.
girls.
Yeah,
That's the only one because it still used real sugar. It's still corn sugar,
but still.
But it's sugar. and then all of a sudden everything in the store was aspartame.
Yep.
Everything.
Yeah, I noticed that too. That wasn't that long ago.
Nope. Nope. No, because I was a professor back then teaching anatomy and physiology and microbiology and
Yeah.
virology. And that was the thing, is I told them, you can get Trident, that's your only one. And then it disappeared.
It's gone.
God dang it.
Was
Why are
Trident
we
Dentine?
killing- Oh, hey,
Dentine is
same,
Dentine,
same,
I
yeah,
thought.
yeah. It's probably the same thing.
It was red and cinnamon.
That is gummist.
It's amazing that our government, because this isn't just in our country. This is stuff that doesn't happen in other countries.
Yeah, most of our food, and that's what we'll talk about
Yeah.
on coming up, is that a lot of our colors, a lot of our food is banned in other countries. A lot of it. You can get jail time for feeding people in those countries what we eat and feed our children. And what's
And
even
it's
crazier,
recommended.
yeah, it's part of a healthy diet.
I know.
What's even crazier is we literally have created signs in America for you
Yeah.
to not feed the animals your food because it harms them and it impairs their immune system and they will die.
That is
And
such
we
a good
care
point.
about animals,
That is such a good point.
not our children.
I hadn't thought about that.
God dang, that makes me so mad.
Yeah, it is. It is crazy.
So,
I would take a minute on that one. Whew.
okay. Mhm. This is my universal symbol of peace. This. Okay.
We have to get a theme song for when we need to. Okay.
Moving on up. That one?
No, not
What
that
about
one.
Laverne and Shirley? We're gonna make it after all.
Yeah,
No?
no, that's a good one. Because we are going to make it after all. Yeah, because the more information we get out to you guys. it's-
Right, because it's only two things that keep you sick: ignorance and
Yeah.
complacency.
Complacency. Hey, I have a question, Paige, about xylitol. It's really good for your teeth, but
Yeah.
I thought that the TOLs, for some reason I was thinking xylitol can actually make people have diarrhea.
That's
or stomach
mannitol
cramp.
and sorbitol.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
It's
So
mannitol.
xylitol is actually
in a-
glyconutrient sugar.
That's
so it's a
right.
naturally occurring sugar that actually is medicine to your immune system,
Mm-hmm.
right? So xylitol is good for your gums and good for other stuff, and it's a sweet thing, but it's actually healthy.
Okay.
It's one of your immune system things.
So I was confusing it then with mannitol because I remember my mom's diabetic and we were driving somewhere across the country and we stopped into a GNC because literally that's the only place you could go to get like a semi-healthy protein bar or something. So I stopped in there and she got something like a piece of chocolate. She ate like 6 of them.
Yeah. What did she say? I can't. She said
I still am at xylitol because I think it
Oh.
does affect your
put in stevia
pure,
and xylitol. Oh yeah. Yeah.
pure.
Yeah.
Whoa.
And xylitol. Okay, so no.
There you go.
So one thing too. So Paige is really good at all this stuff.
Yeah.
So xylitol's fine, and then mannitol, sorbitol. Typically, anything that says "ol" at the end,
Yeah.
it
that's what
means
I
sugar
thought.
alcohol, which is then some genetically modified corn, and then we take the sugar alcohol out by some
break it down to
extraction
its, like,
process,
yeah.
and then we give it to people. And
Yeah.
it's not technically sugar, but
Yeah.
it's just like, God dang it.
It's
right?
okay for the diabetics to eat.
Yeah. Honey's perfect. Maple syrup's perfect. Try to get the darker one.
Yeah.
Same thing with honey, local. I mean, that way your body knows. Those are old medicine. They've been medicine forever. Your body knows how much sweetness is coming in there, and then it shuts off that hunger once it's met. So those are really good for that.
Chewing gum triggers faulty enzyme release, Paige says. I wondered because sometimes when enzymatic therapy, when I think I need some, then I'll chew some gum. So I don't know, is it just like is it confusing the message system in our body?
I don't know. Eventually your body Pavlov dogs it, so it kind of knows. Like we get used to it. So
Cool.
another disease that I love.
Rephrase that.
All right. So another disease that we created from scratch
There you go.
is type 2 diabetes.
Mm-hmm.
And type 2 diabetes is sugar diabetes, or in the South, sugar diabetes. You get some sweet tea, right? Get sugar diabetes. I don't know. So
That was close. That was Texan.
right, mate. Good day. Good day. The sugar. I don't know.
It's
So
sweet
anyways,
tea. It's
yeah.
sweet tea.
Sweet tea. Sweet tea.
Sweet tea.
Young sweet tea.
Yeah.
So in 1950, about 1940s, we created type 2 diabetes, right? And again, same thing with the whole where we end up using aspartame to counter all the sugar.
Mm-hmm.
Americans are consuming massive amounts of sugar, 150 pounds of added sugar. The average adult man in 1910 weighed 145 pounds. We eat
Wow.
a grown man's worth of sugar every
That's-
year from 1945.
that's
1910.
amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Now I think the average weight is like 175.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
about 175.
That's if you don't know, that's where that water, 64 ounces, that's half your body weight in ounces. So in 1910, the average adult weighed 128 pounds. About 108 for women, 145 men, something like that. Ends up being 128. So half of 128 is 64, so these are 64 ounces. Yeah. Dr. Atwood, Dr. Samuelson created the USDA. They had to come up with all these kind of like formulas and stuff for this.
Yeah, absolutely.
So then we create type 2 diabetes, but it was adult onset. You had to be at least 35 years of eating like an American by the 1940s to even get to the point where you would downregulate enough receptors for sugar that you would not then absorb the sugar. It sits around in your blood, and then you test it, and it's like, oh my God, your blood sugar is really high, right? So then people take drugs to force sugar into cells that don't want the damn sugar, and then it makes the labs look better, but it actually causes more damage, right? So several years later, we created a new category of type 2 called juvenile onset non-insulin dependent. So then this again, no, wait, I'm sorry.
I was going to say.
Back it up. So, okay, first we had adult onset non-insulin dependent. Then we created adult onset insulin dependent type 2 diabetes, which was amazing because now you can even change it with diet because nobody's changing their diet. So we'll just take pig insulin, inject it into you so you can keep being American, right? So then things got worse. We had to rewrite medical textbooks again because we came out with juvenile onset non-insulin dependent diabetes type 2. So now kids were eating so much sugar so quickly that they were downregulating receptors and suddenly causing type 2 diabetes. But they can control it through diet. Stop eating all the damn sugar, it goes away, right? Type 2 diabetes is this easy to reverse, right? This easy. And then we had to rewrite the medical textbooks again because we came out with juvenile onset insulin dependent type 2 diabetes because kids were eating so much sugar so quickly that the solution was we'll just take insulin from a pig and inject it in you. It's fine, right? Then in 2010 we created a new type of diabetes called type 3 diabetes. Do you guys know what type 3 diabetes is?
What year was that around?
2010.
2010.
10, right?
I mean, that's amazing, y'all. I mean, this spiked like from like 30, 40 years.
Yeah, it took 60 years to
unbelievable.
change it 4 times and create a new type 3 diabetes. America! They didn't think we could do it. We're Americans, right?
I
Did it.
Yes.
We may be the fattest country in the planet because we consume the most sugar, but we're number 1, right? What's Paige saying?
Pregnancy.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I actually had that with my 7-year-old.
Is that right?
I did.
You got the diabetes?
I did.
Did you have to do insulin?
No, I
Were you
just
drinking
checked.
a bunch of Coke all the time?
No, it was the. Never mind.
When I did OB rounds, we had patients that would come in full on ready to deliver their baby with a big old giant big gulp of Diet Coke
There you
and
go.
some snacks, and they'd walk in like, I think I'm gonna have my baby, and it was like, have you had any prenatal or anything? Nothing. Nope, drinking their soda, gonna have a baby. I was like, all right.
There you go.
There we are.
There you go.
All right.
Yeah. And you know,
Oh wait, did anybody guess what type 3 is? Oh, she was probably guessing pregnancy diabetes.
Yeah, I think so.
No, so type 3 is brain diabetes. So brain diabetes is your brain runs off sugar. So if you make the receptors down-regulate because of too much sugar, then you stop accepting sugar into your brain, and then you can't think straight. And that's called brain fog in the beginning, a little bit of dementia, and yeah, it's like
And
Sarah says.
Alzheimer's, yeah.
So it's Alzheimerism, right? So it's not really Alzheimer's because that's neurofibrillary tangles, amyloid plaquing mainly from mercury. Like mercury in your teeth, we can actually replicate that in living nerve cells. But the Alzheimerism is basically you present just like Alzheimer's, but it's just sugar diabetes in your brain.
Gotcha.
Diabetes.
Hi, Janelle.
Went for
You
breath.
know,
Yes.
I had mercury in my fillings. I had.
My feelings with mercury too.
Yeah, and I mean, this
Wait,
is
mercury or mercury retrograde?
I don't think it was the second part of that. So, but I did some research after I had my fillings removed, and literally you can get mercury poisoning from having them removed. You can have the mercury poisoning from when they got put in and when they're removed, and it is a very delicate process. My whole face was bruised.
Did you go to a biological dentist?
No. I know.
I didn't either, but Sherry,
not
our
good.
nurse, she did it through a biological dentist here in town.
Probably, you know, they're supposed to wear certain
Yeah, they have
masks
to
and
wear-
gloves and stuff, and I did not do
Okay, wait,
that.
wait.
And I'm like,
So wait.
Oh.
They wear rebreather masks because mercury's so toxic, but COVID's so toxic we just wear cloth ones. So, isn't that funny? Anywho.
I knew you were gonna say that.
Anywho. Alright. We're not going there.
No, don't go there. Don't go there.
We're not going there.
So that's just a side topic.
So
That stuff is serious, you know,
Yeah.
and it's no different than any of this other stuff we're talking about. It's just a matter of really understanding what we have to do about it.
my dentist, she said, why are you
You know?
getting... Hey, there's Sierra. So she said,
Hey, Sierra.
she was on her board.
Yes.
She's a wise woman, right?
Sierra, good to see you.
She's always working.
I know.
She's,
we need to
she's
talk.
watching at work. She's always working.
Hey, Matthew.
So, my dentist said, why do you want the mercury removed from your mouth? And I said, because it's neurotoxic. And she said, just a little bit. And I said, so if it falls on the floor, can you pick it up? She's like, no. I was like, why? Because it's toxic. I was like, can you flush it down the toilet? No. Can you drop it down the sink? No. Can you just throw it outside? No. But you can put it in my mouth, and it's safe. Like,
I don't think they do it anymore.
they still do.
Do they still?
But most,
Does anybody?
they're stopping that.
Oh my
right?
gosh.
They're stopping. And there used to be a law, and it probably still is, but if you talk about the toxicity of mercury to your patients, you could lose your license to practice. Just
I
like
did read that too.
yeah, just like doctors that when they were switching over to from natural medicine to pharmaceuticals, if they prescribe natural medicine, they could lose their license. And in Colorado, I could lose my license to practice for showing you pictures of feedlots and saying this meat causes E. coli 0157H7 and kills children every year. I could lose my license to practice for that.
And he did not just say that. As
I'm in Kansas. I say what I want.
I gotcha.
I don't even need a
I missed
license.
that part.
I'll be all Shaniqua about this.
Okay.
From is it Shaniqua from?
I don't know. So
Didn't you watch?
moving on. So the mercury in your teeth, it's so toxic they can't even pick it up off the floor.
Shanae.
Okay.
It's Shanae.
So
You don't even know the
back-
show. The show Martin. You didn't watch Martin?
I don't watch
His
a
next
lot
door
of
neighbor was
TV
Shanae.
or movies. I watch a lot of classic old
Alright.
black and white films.
Do
and
you guys
stuff.
know who Shanae is? Are y'all hip to this? Yeah.
Hip
She
to-
does not know. She thinks
Hip,
I'm being offensive,
hip.
I'm sure.
hip to be
You think
square.
I'm being offensive by saying Shanae?
I didn't say that. Root canals, no. They're just usually fillings. But I don't know. I'm not a dentist.
Didn't you date a dentist? Can you date a dentist and then get me cheaper healthcare for dentistry? Okay, so
I'm not gonna date any. I'm not dating at all.
are you figging?
I'm not.
All right. You just broke a bunch of men's hearts out there. I could literally. There's probably tears
No,
on the camera. There's
other-
tears on the camera here.
I'm sorry, people, but I have things to focus on right now.
So
My 15-year novel, one of them.
get out of her business. Me? Okay, so
Oh, that is true.
what?
Thanks, Sierra.
Because I'm opening your cheese whiz?
Okay, hey Perry.
Oh.
Thanks for joining us.
So then with, what were we talking about?
Well, we were talking
Dental,
about
mercury.
diabetes.
Diabetes.
Then we switched over to mercury
Alzheimer's.
and
Okay,
and
I
Alzheimer's in
know
the brain.
I see where we went. It's all over there.
Full
Okay.
circle, right back to where we need to be.
So heart disease and cancer. So heart disease, same thing. We created an epidemic of heart disease. I love the heart disease one because it looks like this. Heart disease was #1 killer way down here 100 years ago. And then all of a sudden 1910, all that sugar, boom, we ended up with epidemics. And then heart disease went down just a little bit in the 90s because we got really good at taking the veins off your legs and sewing them to your heart.
And stents.
Because that's how we do it.
And stents. I have a stent.
You know what? I took, at Yale University, I took a biomedical engineering OC course with Dr. Mark Saltzman. Dr. Mark Saltzman is the one that created the stents with the dexamethasone, which actually was a steroid on the stent, so when they put the stent in, it doesn't create the scar tissue because
around
people
the-
are having post-stent heart attacks.
Now, is this recent? Because they also have the mesh ones now that dissolve.
What? That's
Yeah.
what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Mark ain't nobody anymore.
Yeah. And
He's-
who would want that? I mean, because if you have artery problems anyway, and all they're going to do is tell you to take these 4 drugs,
Yeah.
and you could possibly die, and
Yeah.
you know, some of the side effects are what?
But if you
Heart attack.
COVID-induced heart attacks post-stent.
I mean, a certain amount of lifestyle, changes have to take place after heart
It better change.
heart problems.
If you don't change what you did to get there, you're
That's right.
just going to end up there again.
That's right.
That's
and,
the
and
reality.
stress is a big one. I mean,
Yeah.
in our society today, we have an unbelievable amount of stress.
Yeah.
Also, in other countries, they take vacations, man.
Mhm.
They get relaxed and they, drink wine.
They work
and-
about 10 hours less a week than we do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they are required. Hi, Sherry. They
Required.
are required to take vacations.
Boom. They made it a goddamn law to get the hell out of here, go to the beach,
Yep.
come back healthier and happier.
And same thing with having babies. I mean,
Said
surely
you
you
can
all
have
know
babies?
all this. When someone has babies, I mean, the family gets to take off work instead
Yes.
of just the
Yeah.
woman.
Husbands get, and that's the thing.
It's
like,
amazing.
husbands get paternity leave
Yeah.
because mom just had a baby and she might need dad to help you taking care of stuff, right?
Or just a family to become a family. A new family. Aw. That's so sweet.
That is sweet.
What are the, I'd like to do some research on that to find out exactly what countries do what.
Oh, I
so,
know. Europe
because
mostly.
Europe-
Europe's the biggest
oh, yeah,
one for
for
that.
sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, Melanie.
Hey, she's a wise
Wow.
woman too. She's our speaker.
Oh, I'm so thrilled. I have good news for y'all, for Sierra, Melanie. I have been speaking with some people, especially over the weekend. A little side note here, give me a sec, that we are in really good, we're lining up what we're going to start Wise Women ICT again.
Is that Mercury retrograde you're talking about?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah.
Can I be
so,
a wise woman? Can I be a
well,
designated wise woman? Can we be
have-
gender fluid?
we
Can
have
we be
pan-
gender fluid
We have
ICT?
panelists, and Patrick actually, he's a great speaker. He's lots of fun. We all laugh, and we have all kinds of cool things to say about Patrick, because
You're just trying to get donations.
we have anybody's ready to donate, I'm good with that. But however, we're lining things up. Things are in the works right now as we speak. Because I had a blast Saturday night meeting all kinds of beautiful women.
Did you get any phone numbers?
And bonfire, and they cooked on the open fire. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm coming home.
Can I go to this?
There was a river, and the river was calling me, and I went down to the river, and it was amazing. So, and I met a couple people who are ready to start working with me on it.
So back to this campfire with all these women.
And so, the mercury in your teeth.
You don't even like respond. You're just like, whatever.
Sierra says hi, Melody. Melody. Okay, so.
All right, so heart disease. So heart disease went from #1 killer to killing 18 times more people with heart disease. And she now is more likely to have a heart attack than me, which means we literally rewrite medical textbooks to now train doctors that women have heart attacks. Because women really just didn't have heart attacks before.
And a lot of the research that's been done in that is that we don't really even know what our symptoms are. Mm-mm. So, ironically, I had a little bout last week where I was told that some people come into the ER with their toe hurting, and they're literally having a heart attack. So we're seeing like symptoms are just like crazy out there.
You know what?
Like, how do you even know anymore?
When I was doing my internist clerkship, we had a guy that came in, normal looking guy, just blue collar. His jaw hurt a little bit, and it was a little achy. And so again, like no big deal, but he keeps complaining about it. So his wife is like, "You got to go in and see the doc." And so again, not expecting anything. My mentor wasn't there yet. So we ran an EKG,
troponin,
something else, some basic lab,
yeah.
And his EKG came back that he was in cardiac arrest, or getting the cardiac arrest. It was V tachy, and so it was just like, wait, this dude, when you look at him, he does not look like what his heart's showing.
Yeah.
And so we're like, we need to get you on the bus and out of here.
Yeah.
You got to go to the ICU.
Yep.
And so we shipped him out. We put him on the bus and shipped him out. And then he had 2 heart attacks that day.
Oh.
Holy crap. That's crazy. But what happened was women started in the workforce after World War II. So
that's right.
Men
and during World War II.
Oh, yeah, during.
I mean, yeah.
So before World War II, men worked, men ate crap, men had tons of stress, so men had the natural consequence of heart attacks.
Then they ate the military food.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the freeze-dried stuff.
I have one of those.
And MRE, military,
yes,
what is it called?
MRE.
Military Reserve.
Infantry? No, I don't know.
That's an I.
Meal replacement something.
Meal replacement something. E.
Where was this?
Hi, Gina.
Does someone know?
Like,
Does someone know the answer?
Somebody know that?
So then when when the war started, men went to war, women started working in the war factories, right? And then the men came home, and the women are like, I have like freedom, independence, my own money, I can do what the hell I want. And for the first time in history, you had this massive amount of women that literally had financial control of their lives and freedom, and then they liked that. And so then they kept going to work, and then they started stressing like men, eating like men, and they had the same heart as men, so they had heart attacks, but women put up with men's shit, so then they ended up with more heart attacks. No. It's because you guys took hormone replacement therapy, which was synthetic estradiol, which increases your risk of heart disease up to 87% within the first year, which is why the Women's Health Initiative was shut down in 2005. It was unethical to see what that was doing to women. So,
that's amazing.
Yeah, it's a whole mess. So heart disease now kills 18 times more people, and now women are more likely to have heart attacks than men for the first time in history, and now we have to retrain doctors to recognize that and not just call it hysteria or anxiety, and really start addressing real medical conditions with them. Which is crazy. Like, literally changed. We have to rewrite these books for these things.
We have to rewrite the books, but we also have to rewrite our structure and our system, and how, on a cellular level, we take in so much stuff these days in our communities and societies that,
Yeah.
yeah,
Paige says estrogen
dominance, yeah.
So 2 last things before we finish out our episode here.
Oh, see, it's 8 o'clock.
I
Sorry,
know.
y'all.
We got on here 15 minutes early. We got the camera right. We got some lighting in here.
Yeah.
And we're just like,
Yeah.
we're just chatting and just chilling. And it was like the longest 15 minutes I've had in probably like a year. Like, it was great. It seemed therapeutic.
Not that he was bored with my being here or anything.
It's
It was just
nice.
like, when do we get started?
So two last things. 2 last epidemics we want to talk about. The first one is prostate. So again, men's prostates are remnants of female uterus, and then it converts to prostate if they have Y chromosome, right? So that still means it has estrogenic receptors. So then we started having the epidemics, especially in 1960, estrogenic pesticides, all that kind of stuff. We started having prostate problems, right? 1980s, it explodes, and by 2000, the year 2000, 1 out of every 2 men in the United States has a prostate so large they can barely pee or ejaculate. 1 out of every 2 by 50. And by 10 years later, 2010, it was still 1 out of every 2 Americans, but by age 40. What's really funny is, if you guys don't know, you go to the theater. I used to love to go to the theater. I'd go watch 3 or 4 movies on my own. I didn't care, right? I just go, I love movies. And then I drink like a gallon of pop like everybody else, eat my popcorn. As soon as the movie's out, I gotta go empty that gallon into the urinal. And when you walk in the men's restroom, it's just a big empty room, and then there's urinals all the way around. And you do not stand next to somebody at the urinal if there's a space. It's every other urinal. And you don't have conversations with strangers.
And it wasn't even like
These are
social
the rules.
distancing in there.
These are rules.
Yeah.
And I had some dude standing next to me in this empty room, starts chatting me up. I'm like, oh, dude, the rules. We have rules.
That's something that's on Seinfeld.
That's universal. So anyways, so I remember all the time when I was about 18 doing this, or maybe even 16, I would do this, and there would always be men in there just at the urinals, and then I would pee and pee and pee and pee and pee and pee forever because I had an extra big bladder. I don't want to brag or anything, right? But I would pee forever, and then I would leave, and they would still be standing there. And when I was 16, I was like, what the hell's going on with all these dudes? And then when that research came out, I was like, oh my God, those dudes just drink a gallon of soda and they can't pee. They are just sitting there dying at the urinal.
And you know that there's that old saying of like when men pee they grunt. That's really the case. They're probably like, oh, I can't pee.
True of men that you know, or
no?
is this
a universal
thing?
It's like, universal.
I shake like that when I pee. I don't know why.
Anyway.
I get you ever see that? The girls do that?
No.
Like when you pee, you just have like this little kind of like chill or something?
No, it's usually the boys. My son
Alright.
does it a little bit here and there.
Alright. My cousin, when he would pee at urinals, he would take his pants all the way down in his underwear and just stand there with his butt in public urinals peeing. And I was just like, John, you can't be doing that, dude. So,
for sanitary reasons too.
So guess what the prostate rate is for men in China? Same age.
I don't
40
know.
and 50.
Give me a.
Is it 0,
Okay.
20, or 40%?
I'm gonna say 0.
0. It's not a problem. They don't estrogenize the men there. They're not converting back to women.
Okay.
But guess what the rate is for Chinese men that live in America? 50%.
50.
It's the same. Same physiology. We do the same thing to it, right? All right. So we literally cause this.
Yes.
People come from other countries. They become us and our
Absolutely.
diseases. The last one is cancer. And I love cancer because it's so like patternistic of
It's
what we're talking about.
everywhere. My dad just passed away.
Is that right? Cancer?
Yeah.
My mom's a cancer, but she doesn't have cancer.
Good.
Is that a thing?
That's awesome.
Maybe.
Yes, cancer is everywhere.
So cancer rates went from 1 in 8,000 to 1970. It took from Adam and Eve to 1970 to get to the top 10 killers, right? It took that long. However that long is, right? Dawn of Man,
really long
1970,
time.
just in America. 30 years later, just a little blip, it became 1 out of every 2 Americans. 10 years later, the World Health Organization says that if Americans don't change what they're eating and doing, that they are going to have a 1 out of 1, a 100% cancer risk for everybody born after 2010. And as of 2019, cancer finally became the leading cause of death among Americans. Like, we literally went from one of the rarest forms of disease to now the number 1, and we are dying at cancer at younger and younger ages, so we're one of the leaders of childhood cancers.
And think about how that's been passed through our lineage all of those years too.
Right.
I mean,
yeah,
we're birthing babies with all of that stuff already cycling through.
Yep.
Through their system.
So these are all things that we created, which means these are all things that we can uncreate. And your DNA is always wanting to heal. Your physiology is always designed to heal. There's no animal on earth that has to figure out how the hell to eat anti-cancer and how to balance their hormones and how to get enough protein eating salad all day, right? No animal has to figure this stuff out because it's all designed perfectly for that. If I scratch my arm, that wound will heal. If I keep messing with it, it will never ever heal. And I'll call that a disease. But the cure is stop causing the problem.
Right.
And so the reason we have such huge success rates in this clinic from patients all around the world is because we know how physiology works, we know what you do to mess it up, and we teach you to stop messing it up so things can just go back to normal. And it really is the simplicity. Simplicity is how you fix stuff, complexity is how you sell stuff.
And that's amazing because that's in everyday life. You know, you make a decision, and this is, you know, he can get you on the right path if you haven't. I have a question at some time after this, but it's in everyday life you make a decision to be a good person, a bad person, healthy, not healthy. Every single day, all you have to do is make the decision, and I might preach on that some other time, but all you have to do is make the decision, and once you do that, everything else starts changing.
You gotta start talking in tempo. You guys want to be healthy, you gotta make a change. Like that.
Okay.
I came from
practice.
Southern Baptist South.
Practice a little bit.
All right.
But yeah, just make that choice. So the question I have before we get off of here, because we're running late.
Yes.
How would you all feel
Just like
if
after prom.
if I encouraged Dr. Garrett to put together?
Take my shirt off. I'll take it off.
Put together a little giveaway,
A giveaway?
next week.
What?
So maybe something like what we usually do with social media. Share the show. Do, give us some, comments, something like that. Maybe I could kind of nudge them into giving a certificate or something away.
Certificate? Maybe?
I don't know. We'll let you know next time. How about that? So what you want to do is just share this video. We'll talk about it.
All right. We'll figure out a prize.
Yeah.
And we'll figure out
Does that
something
sound
cool. Good? And if you guys have some ideas, let us know.
For sharing.
That'd be great. And again, thank you guys. This is episode 172.
2 or 3?
That's 2.
Okay.
So episode 172. Next time what we're going to do is continue this, and we're going to talk about
autism, multiple sclerosis. Oh, did we already?
Okay, we're going to talk about medication side effects,
Yeah.
drug nutrient depletions, and how certain medications can actually cause more problems. So we're going to talk about the medical management side of how people manage these conditions versus what we talked about as stop causing them.
Right.
And a lot of people don't know that many of the medications that they're taking actually deplete very specific nutrients, which is why you see this cascading of weird-ass symptoms and side effects that come with these medications. So we're going to talk about that. So that's the number 2 things that keep people chronically sick and dying prematurely, because their only solution ends up causing more problems, which then result in more problems, which then results in a lifestyle really not worth living.
Yeah.
So.
And sometime in the future too, I'd like to talk a little bit about how that affects our energies in our bodies too, and
Well,
how
let's-
energy healing is kind of
Are you
a
gonna be
part
on
of
next
that
time?
too. Did I invite myself?
She didn't mind herself.
If you'll
Yeah?
have me, I'd love to be on. So,
Okay.
yeah, and if you have topics that you want to talk about, we'll talk about that.
All right, you're going to talk about energies next time too.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to.
All right. So thank you guys for joining us. I really
Mwah.
appreciate it. Love you guys. I appreciate all the feedback. Again, remember this show is for you guys, so you guys steer the conversations. Let me know what you guys think. Ask plenty of questions, but and then please share this and like it. And we'll see you next week.
Yes.
All right.
Have a good night.
Bye, guys.